Good afternoon and welcome to the City Council meeting of February 17th, 2026. I'll call this meeting to order and ask that you all rise for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With flowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
All right, moving on to the land acknowledgement for today. I'd like to acknowledge that the city respectfully acknowledges the Beaver, Cree, Dene, and Métis people as the original caretakers of these lands and surrounding areas. We are grateful to live, learn, work, and play on Treaty 8 territory within Turtle Island and acknowledge that these lands have been home to diverse and sovereign First Nations and Inuit nations since time immemorial. Moving on to the adoption of the previous council minutes, recognizing Councillor O'Connor.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I'd like to move that council adopt the minutes of the City Council meeting held February 2nd as presented.
The motion is in order. Seeing no one in the queue, I'll call the question. Please vote. Councillor Auger in favor? And that carries unanimously. Moving on to item number 5 of today's agenda, I recognize Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. I'd move that council adopt the agenda with the addition of item 7.1, public member appointments.
Thank you for that. That motion is in order. Seeing no one in the queue with discussion or debate, I'll call the question. Councillor Auger votes in favor, and that carries unanimously. Moving on to the delegation portion of our meeting today. For those who might be watching at home, we do encourage delegations to come speak to council at 3 o'clock. And when we're having an evening session, there is also an evening opportunity. It's really simple. There's a form online. We ask you to fill out ahead of time to let us know you're coming. Today, we have one delegation, item 6.1, Bear Creek Folk Fest. And we'll ask Ms. Card to come up. And when the microphone is on and when you're situated, if you could just introduce yourself for those who might be watching.
Hi, I am Sarah Card, and I'm the producer and founder of the Bear Creek Folk Fest right here in Grande Prairie. I would like to start by deeply thanking the city for your invaluable support of the Bear Creek Folk Fest. Your financial contributions, combined with the incredible work of your amazing park staff, have played a really vital role in the backbone of our success ever since our first year. So we're really, really grateful for that. We've been incredibly proud to tout the city as a sponsor for the kids under 12 entering the festival for free, again, since our very first year. And I also want to acknowledge the forward-thinking move of the city for electrifying the bottom of Borstad Hill. Beyond saving our festival around $7,500 in annual fuel costs and reducing our carbon footprint, this investment opens that beautiful underutilized space to future community events. So I'm excited to see what the future brings because of this amazing thing that the city has done. I'm here to quickly update you on our status, request a renewal of our sponsorship, and also propose a critical site expansion for this year. Our festival, as a lot of you know, has been growing. We've been seeing over 7,000 people on site per day and mobilizing over 800 volunteers. This year, we're looking at closer to even 900 volunteers, which will run our festival. However, like major events globally, we're also facing a perfect storm of financial challenges that is getting more and more tricky. Since 2019, our costs have, including insurance, food, rentals, artist fees, transportation costs leading to artist fees, kind of everything across all of our line items have increased by over 45%. Simultaneously, we are facing severe funding cuts. For example, we have aged out now of the $50,000 that we've been getting from Travel Alberta. This is the first year that we will not be receiving any money from that. We recently lost our $40,000 eco-sponsor. They had to reduce down to $3,000, which is a pretty major difference. And we're also facing potential provincial and federal funding cuts. In addition to this year we're good, but possibly next year losing another $50,000 sponsor just due to regulatory changes and what they're going to be allowed to do. So with a serious increase in costs, that means that even unchanged funding, when you adjust for inflation, effectively acts as a cut. As a result of this, we are at this moment projecting a $150,000 shortfall for 2026 if the city stays at the $80,000 that they gave us, have been giving us over the last few years. I've sadly watched legacy festivals succumb to these exact pressures recently, including the Vancouver Island Folk Fest after 40 years, the Philadelphia Folk Fest after 60 years, closer to home, the Edmonton Blues Fest, Regina Folk Fest after 55 years have all recently been discontinued just due to the disparity of or due to the increases in funding or increases in costs and decreases in funding. It's just difficult for festivals to navigate this tricky math. We have, for our end, refuse for the Bear Creek Folk Festival to go down this path, and we are aggressively focused on attacking those potential shortfalls. We think that this event is worth fighting for, and there's so much going for it that we do not plan on following the path of those other festivals. Here are 6 key steps that we're taking right now. One, for ticket prices, we have stopped absorbing fees and taxes. And so that does increase our profit per ticket by $15 roughly, depending on which kind of ticket, without making the base price prohibitive. We still want to keep tickets affordable to families. This is incredibly important to us. We have applied to become a registered charity, and this will open up significant avenues for private donations. In the meantime, we have a collaboration with the Northern Alberta Foundation that we're working on that is building, hopefully, a stopgap until we get our charitable status. We are working to solicit a loan to purchase the remainder of our tents. If we're successful in finding a lender, this could save us about $250,000 in rental costs over a 20-year period. So not a short-term solution, but could in the long term do a lot for us. We have brought on a new sponsor coordinator dedicated to nurturing the current sponsors as well as soliciting new ones. We're systematically going through our entire site to explore ways that we can increase on-site revenue. And then most importantly, we have developed a plan to expand our site, which would allow us to increase ticket capacity. So regarding funding, we are currently working tirelessly to fill the gaps, but we cannot survive if too many of our core funders cut back. So I do humbly ask the city to maintain, as mentioned, our funding at an $80,000 level. Any reduction from this, as mentioned, will just add to the deficit that I'm already projecting. Regarding the site expansion, so if we could show the first slide that I'd... So this slide shows our current layout. Currently, Stage 2 and the Kids Zone and the Snack Shack are all squeezed into an area that overlaps with main stage seating. As those of you who attended the festival might have noticed, it's gotten more and more congested over the years as we've increased our size, and does limit mobility. It's also another issue we've been running into. It's just getting difficult for people to get around. So we just can't add more people as it currently stands and have it done safely without making it even a lot worse for the mobility issues. However, our main stage tent offers improved sightlines, opening up the possibility of 500 more sellable tickets, possibly even more, but I wouldn't want to go over that in the first year because we want to be careful. If we can expand the site and reconfigure things a little bit. So now we could go to next slide. Our proposal is to move Stage 2 to the green space directly across the creek. As you can see, removing Stage 2 from the main bowl allows us to stretch out the backstage area, pull the main stage back a little bit. This immediately increases our seating capacity and also decongests that area a lot. Next slide. This is the new footprint, or a close-up of the new footprint. To be clear, we would exclude the spray park, skate park, and small playground. We would need to include the other larger playground within the fence line, as the slope of the ground makes the pathway too narrow otherwise. To minimize this impact, though, we would carve out the playground during setup and only pop the fence over late Thursday night. So and then we would remove it again immediately Sunday night. So it would only be just for the 3 days of our festival that it would be within the site bounds. This would require us, obviously, to advertise the impact well ahead of time to make sure that frequent playground users are aware of this impact during those 3 days. And the last slide. So this final slide shows the full proposed footprint. If you approve the expansion, it allows us to generate approximately $85,000 in additional ticket revenue, which obviously could significantly help with that $150,000 gap that we might be facing. So to summarize, we're currently projecting a shortfall, but we have a solid plan to fix it. And I believe very strongly that the festival can remain strong. That plan includes the 2 requests from Council today. One is approval to expand the site boundaries to unlock that possible $85,000 in revenue, and maintaining your funding at an $80,000 level to give us a stable foundation to build on. Bear Creek brings so much good to Grande Prairie, and we're doing so much heavy lifting as we can adapt, and doing our best to adapt to the changing and challenging financial landscape. And again, we thank you guys so much for your continued support and all of the amazing things that you've been doing to help us create this wonderful legacy event for the city. I welcome any questions.
Great. Thanks for your presentation. Recognizing Councillor O'Toole.
Yes, thank you for being here today, sir. You've got 900 volunteers you're hoping for this year?
Well, we need close to 900 with the site expansion. Last year, we had close to 850, so we're not far off. We've seen a growth in volunteers every single year.
Did any one of those volunteers pay for any tickets at all?
They do not. I mean, part of the reason why volunteers are willing to put in 20 or more hours of work and work tirelessly is to receive a free ticket. That's not to say that there is not financial benefit that comes from them. Every person that comes to the site, often spends money or contributes in other ways. But the hours that if we started charging volunteers for tickets, we'd have a great deal of trouble getting the number of volunteers that we do, because a lot of them volunteer to get the ticket.
What's a ticket worth for an adult?
It depends when you buy it. A full price ticket, once early birds are finished and all of that, is $185. If you buy them early enough, I think they were sitting closer to it was closer to $145 if I recall correctly. I might be off, but we do kind of an early bird sale, and then they scale up as it gets closer to the festival.
And you've already answered one of my questions in your presentation about closing off the bigger playground early. And also, like, I get feedback. I live in the Avondale area, and people are concerned that the fence is up around the area. So when they walk, it kind of disrupts their walking paths. But I think you guys have been doing a better job over the years. So that's not a concern of mine, but closing off a children's playground that people come from all over the city to would be a little bit of a hard thing to go through. So anyhow, I just wanted to say what I had to say. And
Sure. It's, I mean, definitely something that we recognize and are sensitive to. We're aware that a number of the people who use the playground during our festival weekend are festival attendees who are, their kids want to get away a little bit because our festival brings so much traffic to the park. As a mom, I know it's different for the people that live there, obviously, but as a mom, if I was going to drive my kid to a playground, I wouldn't want to deliberately navigate those parking lots on our festival weekend unnecessarily. I would probably pick a different playground on that weekend just because it's so crowded. But I do recognize that for residents of the area, this is an impact, and that's something that we want to do our best to navigate and, minimize the impact as much as we can.
have you talked about
Sorry, I have a bunch of people in the queue. Thanks. Councillor Plott.
Thanks, Mayor Clayton. Hopefully we'll all ask a few and we'll get to a couple of Councillor O'Toole's. I'm just curious, can you remind me, Sarah, how many tickets are available for the whole event? Like outside volunteers, like the whole site, how many tickets are allowed on site?
So there's a couple different types of tickets. There's the weekend passes, and then there are the day passes as well. I believe that last year. Now, do you mean how many sellable tickets, or how many total, including the volunteers and the comps and the
Yeah, like how many folks would be the maximum that could show up on a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday? Like what's the maximum?
It's been roughly we've been counting roughly 7,000 bodies on site. That is a hard or 6,500 to 7,000 bodies on site. That does not include people who have bought a ticket or given a ticket and have not shown up. This is a hard count of people that actually passed through the gate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that like collectively over the weekend or?
No, that is per day.
Per day. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious. You had mentioned that you're forecasting a loss of about 156,000. And with an extra 500 tickets would be about 85,000 revenue.
Roughly, yeah. It just depends how the tickets fall, because there's obviously different prices. There will also be a slight cost to us for the, in further fencing and stuff like that. But I believe that an educated guess is it would be about a profit of roughly $80,000 to $85,000.
So when you were mentioning 156,000 or loss.
150. Now that is just the current expected possible deficit. There are so many unknowns right now. We won't know the outcome of our federal funding until July. We won't know the outcome of some of our sponsorship. We also won't know, obviously, how many tickets we're actually going to sell until we sell them. So we're just basing this, and we also don't know what the weather will be and what our on-site sales will be because of the weather. So it's incredibly hard to give, perfectly accurate financial forecast until after the festival has happened or until we're on the heels of the festival and we know what the weather is going to be. But this is, as it stands right now, what we're facing, and then we're just working to try to find all of those, all of those tools to fill that. We might get lucky and be facing less than that, but we won't know, and it would be really irresponsible for us to not plan for it and then, and be stuck at the time of the festival all of a sudden seeing this shortfall.
I guess I'm curious of the $150,000 loss. If the expansion was approved and the extra 500 seats or allowed to happen.
That would decrease that
would
deficit
come
by
out
a
of
lot.
that
Yeah,
150. Okay.
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
just wasn't sure if that was included in that number or not. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you, so the 500 seats extra at $180 will put you at a neutral, like at a
No,
break even?
that still leaves me looking for about another $65,000-$70,000.
Okay.
But that gets us a lot closer.
Okay. Councillor Thiessen.
Thanks, Mayor Clayton, and thanks, Sarah, for coming in. Always great to see you. Always excited for the Folk Festival and what you might have coming up for our community. My question for you is around the expansion. So the stage. What are the costs for that stage? So obviously, it's not going to be free against your budget, and you've probably already budgeted for that. But
Well,
stage,
the stage itself, I mean, we're in the process of paying off the 3 side stage tents. Like we own the tents. The stage itself isn't going to cost us a whole lot more than it would have if we'd had it on the other side. The one, staging still is a cost, and that's something that we're working on trying to figure out. But the main expense to actually adding that footprint is it will require more fencing, which is minimal. It will require more volunteers because the bigger the fence is, the more security volunteers that we're going to need. And then just a couple minor things. We'll have to power it, or we'll have to figure that out. It might not be too bad. Probably need a few porta potties over there. So it's a small add up. I suspect that the overall cost of the site expansion, including needing more volunteers, is under $20,000. So it's not bad. It still, like I said, allows us a pretty sizable profit, and we have ways that we can minimize it. But we're just acknowledging there will be an expense to adding that for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and $20,000 sounds like a great deal of as far as expenses go when you're talking stages. I guess one more question, and it is in regards to something that Councillor Platt was asking earlier around field capacity. Mm-hmm. So you can sell up to a certain amount, but do you know how many people can actually fit in that field when you're fully built out? Like, I know you're trying to stage it with ticket sales, so you don't want to get too overwhelmed, but at some point you're going to hit the max, and I just want to know what that max is.
So with our proposal, we were going to try this 500. We're leaving the door open to a possibility of there being room for another 100 above and beyond that. We are also aware that any ticket that we sell could come with more people, right? Like one person who buys a ticket might have 2 kids that get in free that come with them. Adding the volunteers adds more, so as well. I don't think that it would be hard for, there's also a difference between how many people can you fit in the field and how many people would we want to comfortably fit in the field, because we don't want to get to a point where people no longer want to come all the way here. There are a lot of people that pick our festival over the Edmonton Festival. They drive in. 15% of our audience has often been from the Edmonton area, and many of them have cited the fact that our site is less crowded and easier to navigate, and so they come all the way here to our festival instead of attending the one in their own backyard. So I'm sure we could fit, if we wanted to squeeze people in like sardines, we could fit another 1,000 people, but the next year our festival would tank because no one would come because it'd be overcrowded, and I've seen that happen to another event that grew too quickly, made the same mistake. Their attendance went way up, and then it shattered the next year, and it took them 10 years to build that back.
Okay, yeah, no, thank you very much.
Councillor O'Connor.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. Sarah, thanks for coming in, and I really like your plans going forward. I'm concerned mainly around keeping your price too low, where you're not planning, at least in my view, not planning for the future. At some point in time, you're going to have a large increase. So I'm just wondering, have you thought of adding a little bit to just help mitigate that coming loss? That's my concern.
Well, I mean, by no longer absorbing the ticket fees, they have actually gone up. So it used to be that somebody bought a ticket for $185, and that was their cost, and we covered the GST and the ticket servicing fees. Now it costs slightly over $200 for somebody to buy that same ticket, because we are moving those costs on to the consumer. So in essence, we have actually, done a fair increase on our tickets prices, which falls quite on par with where a lot of other festivals are at. Like we want to be find that balance of being fair and obviously pricing as high as we can while making it affordable. If you think about it, if you've got a family of 4, 2 adults and 2 youth that aren't free, like in the 17 area, they could spend like $600 or $700 coming to the festival. It's still, we recognize it's still a hit, right? So, but yeah, we have essentially increased our ticket prices without officially increasing them by quite a bit this year, or in the last 2 years.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just going to go to Councillor Flack and then myself, and I'll go back for the next round to Councillor Plott.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Clayton. My question, thank you, Sarah, for being here. My question is, with the site expansion, would the festival have any plans to move or add food trucks or retail booths?
So we definitely had that as a discussion last year and discovered that it was not possible for us to put any food trucks in that expanded part that's in a spot that would all work. Like the one spot that we were given where a food truck would be allowed would be like right behind our stage and it wouldn't work. But because we do recognize that this has been an accessibility issue, it's difficult for people with mobility issues to get up the stage or up the hill. Our solution to that has been to very heavily ramp up the offerings of our snack shack. So we've been really working, we started to introduce a few things last year, or introducing more this year, a lot more hot food items, healthy food items, so we're turning it into essentially its own little food truck, which is also helpful to us in terms of obviously revenue generation, but we're hoping to make that much more of a proper food resource to make up for the fact that we really have not found another way to add any other food vendors at the bottom.
Awesome, thank you.
I just had a question back on the tickets. So sort of on Councillor Plott and Thiessen's sort of stream. If everybody that bought tickets and has tickets for free all showed up, what would that number be?
We would probably see about another... I'm trying to remember the exact number. It would be in the hundreds.
The maximum number of people that you're allowed to have on the hill.
The maximum number far exceeds the number that we would like. I think the fire marshal in the first year told us it was something ridiculous, like 27,000. Like it far exceeds the number that we would ever get to. There are, I would say that there are at any given time several, like 400 to 500 people just at a wild guess. This is data that we actually have. I just don't have it off the top of my head, and I don't want to pretend that I do. But there is a percentage of our people at any given time that aren't there. Having said that, we have tested that a little bit. For example, when the year that we had Sarah McLaughlin, it was a much closer during her concert to being the full number of people that had tickets are capable of showing up. So we've seen that stretch every once in a while. There's certain times, particularly Saturday night. So there's times during the festival where that margin gets smaller. We have to be prepared for a situation where we do have perfect weather and a huge headliner and everybody does show up. So we have to be careful, and that does fall into our calculation. Somebody much smarter than me does all that math and kind of tells me where the safe limits are. And so
but you would, because like you said, people show up with 2 kids, 3 kids. You've never been at a position where you're feeling it's uncomfortable where you would stop turning people away?
We would never turn away a ticket holder. We've always been careful to not oversell. We've had a couple moments where we thought, oh, this is tight. I wouldn't want to have like too many more people than this on site. But we've been gauging that and watching it very, very closely over the years, and seeing on those peak moments, like during a concert where we have a really large headliner and decent weather, what does that look like on site? And that gives us a good point to gauge from moving forward, to be careful that we don't make mistakes like that.
Perfect. And just on that, what percentage of your tickets are given to volunteers? I know you support many community groups. How many tickets each year do you give that for free?
Well, probably, let me see. It's about 3,000,
Okay.
which close to a third of that is, like I said, volunteers. We're looking at close to 900. So close to a third of that is just our volunteers.
That's volunteer sponsors.
It's volunteer sponsors. Yeah, sponsors make up a large percentage of that as well. And then there are, we give away a small percentage to organizations like Odyssey House and Serenity Place, homeless shelters, local homeless shelters. We've never turned away a charity raising money for something, for a pair of tickets, and then we also give away tickets to our direct neighbors who abut the site. But over a third of that is the kids. Like, we give away a ton of tickets to the kids under 12, which is what we credit the city for, as well as seniors over the age of 80, who make up a smaller percentage of it. But
the kids are getting a sponsorship for.
Yeah, the kids make up the lion's share of, or the by far biggest percentage of the giveaway tickets.
Of the 3,000, so 700 are volunteers.
Yeah, well, more than 700. Last year it was over 800 volunteers.
So then there's like 1,000 free kids in there.
Yeah, I would say there's over 1,000 free kids in there.
Okay, thanks. Councillor Plott.
Thanks, Mayor Clayton. So he helped me answer one of my questions. I was wondering about the free age for cutoff, and then so about 1,000 kids 12 and under that would show up and that would not be charged.
So it's under 12.
Under 12.
So I guess 11 and under. Yeah.
Okay. And I know, I appreciate you got a huge heart and you're always trying to do all the things, but have you thought about capping how many tickets that you're giving away between the not-for-profit agencies, and we're trying to get sponsors for some of that? Because when I look at 3,000 free tickets when you're selling 6,500 or 7,000, like that's a 30, if you say 7,000 are sold, 30% of your tickets are given away. And so that seems like a really high ratio to me, and I can appreciate that you're trying to do the right things for all those groups, but we're all trying to make this work.
Yeah.
And so
if we look at how many are given away to charity, it only amounts to the actual charity tickets only amount to a couple hundred. Like, it is actually a fairly small cap. Like I said, the majority of the giveaway tickets are either the kids, the volunteers, who in essence, in a way, are paying for the tickets by putting in an incredible amount of hours of effort. So they're putting it in through labor and often saving us money in other ways. And then the community tickets are a hit, like the neighborhood, but again, it would be hard to tell the people who are impacted so heavily by our festival, who are living in that area, that they suddenly, after 10 years of getting tickets, no longer get tickets. I would hate the PR nightmare that would induce. And I mean, every year, short answer to your question is, every year we scramble, or every year we go through it line by line and try to find where can we reduce the giveaways. And we've thinned it out a little bit in our sponsor sheet. Like, I have reduced the number given to sponsors at any given level. Like, we've really gone systematically through and seen, how can we sort of reduce this. But when I look at, like I said, the volunteers, the neighborhood, the sponsors, it just ends up, no matter what we do, kind of adding up to that number. The sponsors, we get over $350,000 in gift in kind donations from sponsors. That's not the money, and again, if we kind of stop giving those little bits to them, it might start suddenly costing us a whole lot more in other ways. Like a lot of the tickets that we give away are bringing in money in a different way. That I think 150, 200 tickets that we give to local women's shelters and homeless shelters, I continue to stand by that. It's just, I think, a really important part of the ethos of who we are. And it's such a small number. It impacts some people's summer so much and makes such a big difference to them while being such a small number of tickets for us. So it wouldn't, I don't think, affect our bottom line that much to pull that, or if we removed that.
Just a follow-up, I'm curious on the early bird versus the regular. Do you have a cap on how many early bird tickets?
Yep, it's 1,000.
1,000, so only 1,000. And then it always seems to sell out really quick. Did you move your early bird and are both rates the same as last year, but now the fees are include that? The fees
were across the board. So the early birds ended up being more too because of the fees, like they all were. This last year, used to take us till February to sell out of the early birds. Last year it took us 2 days. This year it took us 4 hours. It is getting faster.
Well, that seems like a good opportunity to maybe bump your early birds for next year if they're selling it that quick, because that's a pretty big $40 swing is a pretty big incentive for this.
It's something that we look at. We do definitely want to keep people incentivized to buy early, because one thing that we run into is that we need all the capital early to secure the artists, and we don't see a lot of our grant and sponsor revenue till later. So we always have sort of this difficulty in timing in terms of the funding. So that's why that early bird went in place. I did not anticipate it was going to sell out in 4 hours like that. Is going to have us having a hard look at what we're doing next year, but because it kind of shocked me that they went that fast, but they did.
Well, I appreciate you coming in and answering some questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Thiessen.
Thanks again, Mayor Clayton. Well, you keep putting on world-class music festivals, and that pre-sale sellout time will get shorter and shorter and shorter. Maybe one day it'll be under an hour. Awesome. So I just wanted to chime in because, I don't know, I'm getting light bulbs off over here. Has the Bear Creek Folk Festival ever considered, like, let's call them VIP music badges, similar to what they would do at the South by Southwest Music Festival or Coachella, where as part of the pre-sales, there's a select number of tickets. I chose 500, where people could pay a little bit extra, get the prime seating select, maybe get a meet and greet, other incentives, little swag bag and stuff like that, and they could say, hey, we're here. And then in a sense, they get almost all the perks of like a VIP sponsor would get, but maybe they pay more money, like $300 for a ticket. So if you have 500 of those tickets available, and you figure out how that works for those people so they're willing to pay for it and they get something back for it, times that by $300, and all of a sudden you're looking at $150,000 and your deficit has been made up. Has the Folk Festival ever considered just a select stage group of tickets that's available to the general public without sponsorship?
We have definitely been asked that question. It is a very strong part of the ethos of our organization that all folks are equal out on the hill. Like we've actually avoided using the word VIP, even in our, like we train our volunteers to not use the word VIP, that people that come backstage are special guests, because it's part of who we are as a festival, as an organization. We've worked really, really hard to get away from a sort of these people are better or more important than those people. Recognizing that, we are aware that certain differently structured corporate events, there are different tiers and you can kind of be the more important person or the less important person, or but it's, and you'll see it across the board at other festivals as well. Like, talk to Edmonton Folk Fest. They actually don't even give backstage access to their or sponsors. Like it's very the folk festival is a different animal than other types of events, and that's part of what I love about it is that it is such a welcoming kind of equalizer of people. We see people of all different stripes, and they just at different financial status, different ethnicities, different people from all different walks of life, and they get to come and be part of this great event and be, and be treated as equal out on our site. So it would go heavily against who we are as an organization to do that. And I know I'll get pushback from it, but it's such a core part of the backbone of who we are that I would really struggle to go there. I do a lot of other things before doing that.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I think what you give to the community, though, so many people love. Like I myself, I volunteered last year. I put in a good chunk of hours. I had the City of Grande Prairie sponsorship ticket pass. And I bought 2 tickets, one for my son and one for a friend. So there's a volunteer buying a couple tickets that we're talking about. And I know there's more stories like that out there. And I know there's at least 500 people locally in this community who would volunteer for you and probably look at some kind of gift, like friend of the festival sort of ticket sale, not a VIP. I'm a friend of the festival, and I get the first head of the line. Everybody's equal, but I think people would pay that extra money to ensure your success so that they can keep coming back every year to support that. And that's just such a small fraction of the people, 10% of the people less than, who would actually come and support your festival. And I don't think it gives them a VIP standard above anybody else. I think it just shows that they want to give more because they know they're getting back lots from the festival. So I hope you'll consider it going forward in the future. Well,
I mean, we are always brainstorming and always open to workshop other ways. We definitely are currently right now exploring how do we solicit more public donations, and that's something that, especially once we receive charitable status, really working on pursuing. And we've tried a number of different tacks over the years to adding in little incentives and stuff. So it's not to say that the overall concept is not something that we, the idea of creating kind of a special friend of the festival type incentives for people. The one thing that we, like I said, kind of really do want to hang on to is the equal treatment of people out on the hill. But beyond that, of course, we're always looking for new ideas, and we never stop kind of workshopping and brainstorming. So thank you for that feedback.
Yeah, no worries at all.
Councillor O'Connor.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. Sarah, I'm a little concerned about at Gate 2 that you have an opportunity to add some food trucks at that end. As a person who had to walk up that hill last year, I ended up having to use my cane just to try and make it to the top of the hill. For those of us with disabilities, it'd be nice to be able to just walk across the bridge and access some food on that end. Just a thought. And the last thing, 2 things. Why not consider offering some of the free tickets that you give away right now for $5 or $10? So you're getting a $200 value ticket, and now you're paying a little bit. Won't cover a lot. It'll raise $15,000 to $20,000, but that could help reduce your costs. And then I, like Councillor Palat, recommend a little bit more of an increase to not be in that deficit position. So.
Yeah, I mean, with regards to the increases, we likely will continue. We're likely going to be in a position where we have to increase a bit. We just finished implementing, like I said, a fairly hefty increase. We have to kind of be careful and stagger it, but as costs rise, so unfortunately, do our tickets need to? So that is something that likely will happen. With charging for some of the tickets, I mean, like I said, if we're donating a ticket to a women's shelter, we're talking about people that are in the lowest point in their life. For the nominal amount that we would get for that, it feels like sometimes you just got to got to give someone a ticket. And again, asking our sponsors to start paying, like we do. I'll preface this by saying we encourage our sponsors to also buy tickets. A number of them also additionally buy tickets in addition to their sponsored tickets. So it does happen. And we have, as similar to Chris, we have a number of volunteers who also purchase tickets as well. Like it's something that we do see, and we adore that, and we thank volunteers for doing it. We want to, it's better kind of better relations with our volunteers and with our sponsors when people are doing that voluntarily as opposed to being, forced to do so. I think it could damage some of our goodwill if we started forcing it, but there are people that do it, and we love it. And to address your food truck thing, as mentioned, we tried, and we're not allowed to put them there, but that is why we're adding all that. A whole bunch. Check out our new Snack Shack food menu, because we're adding a lot of good food there so that people will be able to access good food at the bottom of the hill and not have to walk up.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just had a couple questions, and I'll go to the others in the queue in a minute. I'm curious about the long-term plans. Currently, right now, does your board have an accountant and a lawyer, and what does your forecasting look like? Costs, the reality is costs will continue to go up for this event every year. So have your sponsorships been increasing? And if so, are they increasing at the same rate as your cost increase? And so, or otherwise, should we just expect that the city will continually be the person that you'll come back to for increased funding support?
So there's there are a few different parts to answer your question. We, as mentioned earlier in my presentation, have been going systematically through a number of different areas. We cannot stay on a track of having a deficit every year, because that would not be sustainable. So long term, we're working on, number one, cutting costs. As mentioned, we're trying to, and this is a little bit more long term than fixing this year's problem, but we're really working to find a loan to help us buy our remaining tents, because even with bearing in mind paying back that loan with interest, that could still save us $250,000 over a 20-year period. So that helps. That's partly why we're working on increasing the ways or where we can get money with our application to become a registered charity. We're working on soliciting private donations and kind of increasing our revenue streams that way, and being able to issue tax receipts to private donors, and kind of find more money in the community. As mentioned, we've brought on a sponsor coordinator who is working on trying to solicit new sponsorships. The reality is we've had like a few major hits in a row. Like I said, this year we sort of got, the last couple of years, we've gotten hit with a couple of major funders that had to heavily reduce, or in the case of losing the Travel Alberta funding because we just aged out of it. So, and a reality for a lot of sponsors is that, some of them are experiencing the same financial challenges we are. So people, as much as they're supporting the festival, are in some cases having to reduce their funding that way. But that is why we are going through systematically and trying to find where can we increase revenue. We've been looking through our site and trying to find ways, how do we increase our on-site sales revenue, whether it's adding more items to our merch tent, adding more items to the Snack Shack. We also, the reality is that having core funders like the city is always going to be important to any festival. And when we first started the festival, we were lucky enough to, in the first few years, be at $100,000 support from the city, and that was a huge part of how we got through. Since the start of our festival, our costs have close to doubled. So if you bear that in mind, even keeping the city's financial contribution the same is being asked to fund a much smaller percentage of our overall budget than it was the case in the first few years.
Has the sponsorship been increasing?
Sponsorships have increased drastically from our first few years. Since for the last 2 years, we have suffered a slight decrease because of the loss of a couple of key major sponsors. So it's toggling kind of between the $200,000 and $300,000 mark with cash sponsors, and then we see again about a $300,000 gift in kind sponsorship level as well. We're working on bringing those sponsorship dollars back up. It's something that takes time, but it's one of the many things that we're working really hard on. We just, like I said, getting hit with cost increases and revenue decreases at the same time is a tricky situation, and it's not just us. We're seeing it kind of nationally and internationally. Like all festivals are facing the same thing.
Municipality as well.
Yeah.
Our costs go up every single day, and so I think that it's fair and also to expect that large-scale corporate donors have parameters around the number of years. So you will have sponsors that fall off over a certain period of time, and you need to forecast
Absolutely.
To replace those. I had another question regarding Councillor O'Toole's comments about food on the east side of the bridge. Will people be easily able to access the food vendor that's at the Ernie Radburn Pavilion?
Oh yeah, always. Yeah, we
Well, sort of, because they can't take their alcohol out there.
No, of course not. They can't bring their alcohol, but we don't. There's people can just walk off the site and go. It means they have to bag check back in if they wanna come in.
Okay.
But they can. They certainly there's no other barrier than that. They would just have to would have to leave the site.
Excellent, Councillor Plott.
Thanks, Mayor Clayton. Sorry, last question here. I'm just curious, back to the volunteers. If somebody chooses to volunteer for FolkWest, what's the time commitment that they're expected as a minimum to put in?
It depends a little bit on what team they're on. They're sort of an average of kind of 15 to 25 hours. Some people put in significantly more than that. Some of the teams that are really kind of hard labor lifting have shorter shifts, like our green team that are hauling like large garbage bags, or the dishwashers kind of get a little bit shorter shifts, whereas people that have a little bit of an easier role are longer. Pre-post fest volunteers also work a lot longer. They end up doing kind of multiple 8-hour shifts as well, but they have the benefit of then getting to relax for the whole festival and not missing any of the music. So yeah, it really depends team by team.
So, but 15 hours is kind of like almost a minimum sort of?
That's a minimum for most teams. A lot of volunteers will put in a lot more than that, but it's, and like I said, there are a couple positions where you could see less than that, but for the most part.
And the reason I'm bringing up volunteers again, and I'm going to go back to a comment Councillor Thiessen made, probably every one of us in our outside life is sponsoring and helping with different agencies and organizations. Never do we get paid to do it. And I'm not saying that, that's not something that you should do, but I am wondering if at some point you need to have great you're volunteering, but you get a reduced ticket price. It seems like a lot. You feed them, you give them tickets, and I appreciate that. But we were just part of a volleyball fundraiser that I'm sure my wife spent 20 hours on with zero expectations of getting anything for free. So I appreciate you're always trying to do the big thing for everybody, but the reality is I think at some point you might have to start pushing back on, sir, if you want to volunteer, that's great, but your ticket's reduced or something. And I'm just throwing out ideas. I'm not saying you have to do them. It's a lot of tickets. I mean, you're adding as many tickets, almost adding 500 more tickets. In essence, when you're giving 800 or 900 volunteers free tickets, is a lot of money in revenue exchanges. So I'm just trying to throw out ideas for you because I don't think you need to personally do that. It's just my personal thought. I know a lot of people that volunteered for over the years. I don't think they expect a free ticket and to get fed all weekend, but I'll just leave it at that. Just another thought, because it is trying to find ways to get your revenue up, because it's going to be, yeah.
That may be true for a bunch of people. We struggle though so hard to get the numbers that we need and to get like this number of volunteers, to get into the 850, 900 range of volunteers would be so incredibly hard. And the reality is there are also a number of volunteers who do it because they have no money, and that this is how they're able to enjoy the weekend. So it's not to say that you're not right about a bunch of people. Like there's a bunch of amazing people that would, but it could also be incredibly damaging to us in terms of losing a lot of very, very key volunteers. And a lot of people come here at great expense. Over a third of our volunteers drive in from way out of town from the West Coast. They fly in from places. They come in. So they're already spending a ton of money on hotels, on gas, on plane flights, on food to get here. Like, we feed them once they're here. But there are a lot of them that already comes at like $1,000 hit to just come and volunteer for the festival. So it would, and they've, we had a number of volunteers. Every year we get volunteers asking, why can't we provide accommodations? Why can't we help reduce those costs? So we're already sort of fighting against that. Obviously, we can't afford to do that, but we're already sort of battling that. So to then turn around and also add a ticket price, I think we would lose a lot of those people. And like I said, that would hurt us.
And that's potential. I guess my hope was that you try to push that boundary at some point, because I don't think the path of free, the way it's going for you, I don't think it's going to set up really well long term. That's just my outside comment. I hope that you can look at how you can push back on some of those things that you're doing currently. But a great festival, wanted to succeed. Just trying to kind of give you some ideas or suggestions on how you could maybe see that bottom line change the other direction for you.
Wonderful, thanks.
Thank you.
Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. I think Councillor Palot's got something there that you should visualize. The question I had was, I've been in line too long and forgot. Have you thought about growing? Like, is it the right time to grow?
You mean like with regards to the site expansion that we're doing, or?
Yeah, well, just the so I'm going to be point blank. You haven't made a lot of money over the years. You've been engaged in 10 years. You're always in a deficit. How do you feel that you can come ahead and have money at the end of the year?
So we've actually, the last few years have been incredibly financially successful for us. I think last year was a little bit tougher. The year before that, I think our profit margin was about $200,000 that we were able to put against our debt reduction. The years before that, I think the year before that was in the 100 range. Like we did have a very challenging first few years because it's incredibly hard to start an event like this. And it's just sort of the history of folk festivals. You kind of, it's the way any of them have started. But we went from being about over $500,000 in debt to being less than $100,000 in debt because of the success of our last bunch of festivals and how well they did. We now, like I said, are facing a bit of a shift in the numbers because of just really severe cost increases and inflation. So I would say that our festival really has has shown that we are capable of having very, very successful years. We just, like any outdoor event, have a lot that we need to navigate. We've also seen incredible increases in cost and demand. We're seeing tickets sell out a lot faster. So it really does feel like, we are ready to grow. We've been seeing it over the last number of years as tickets, as it has been increasing, and we don't know yet what that cap is. We may add these 500 tickets and discover it takes us like a couple years to actually get to the point where we're selling them. We might sell them all right away. Like we don't have a way of knowing that, and it's something as we evolve, but it's something that we've been looking at over a number of years. It's been on the docket for I think the last 5 years. We've been looking at it. We brought it to council and discussed it last year. It was more because of wanting to add food trucks, which is why we let it go, because we couldn't do that. But it feels to us, when the site is getting as tight as it is, and there's areas that are bottlenecking and congesting just with the people that we already have, it does feel like we're ready to kind of grow into a bigger space from our perspective.
I just got one more, and then have you thought about you're talking about buying these tents. Have you thought about putting a sponsor's name on it for 5 years at such a much, some kind of number that's going to do you good?
We've done a little bit of that. Like we've had some campaigns that have had moderate success where we've purchased a couple of tents and kind of added people's names. So it's something that we've played with, and we're continuing on workshopping ideas and how we can raise that money. We've successfully bought a bunch of our tents. We now own our 3 side stages. We own that great big main stage, and we own I can't remember, it's over a dozen of our little tents. So, we're working on it and getting there, and it's something that we sort of, we're workshopping that.
Okay. Thank you very much for your answers and being here today.
Thank you.
I just have one last question. I want to make sure I have the numbers right. So you're forecasting, if the city were to give you the same $80,000 that they did last year, you would forecast a $30,000 loss?
A $30,000 loss?
Is that what you said?
No, I said if the city, as it currently stands, if the city gives us the 80,000, right now we still have another 150 that we need to find. We're hoping that over
If you find that 150, you break even?
And if we find that 150, we break even. And
what percentage of an increase will that? If that's through sponsorship, is that a 20% growth in sponsorship to find that other 150?
So we're hoping that 80 to 85,000 of it comes from increased ticket capacity. So we're hoping to cut it down just through the site expansion and increase it. That's partly what the site expansion is for. And then we're hoping that the rest gets chipped away at both through sponsors, through other increased revenue streams that we're working on. We also do have some, to be transparent, we've got some grants out there that could wipe that out as well. We've applied for a couple of Canada Council grants that could come through and solve a lot of our problems, but we won't know that until the end of July. And I don't want to wait until the end of July to work on solving these problems. So we may get lucky and have more money than we think we do. If we do, that'll allow us to put more of our ticket revenue into things like the tents and the deficit, and it'll help us, grow in those ways. So the 150. It's not a concrete number because there are so many unknowns right now. It's just the best that we can do right now with the information that we have.
And the 500 new seats, is about $90,000 in revenue, assuming they're all buying a weekend pass. Is it primarily to help with the financial financial budget that you're hoping to raise, or is it for comfort of the existing guests?
It's for both. Yeah, it covers both. It helps us with the financial problem significantly, obviously, but also allows us to create some pathways around, so that low mobility people can more easily navigate around. Right now, to get from main stage to stage 1, you have to pretty much step over people. There's not really the possibility of even creating a proper pathway. So it's going to allow us to seriously increase our ability to accommodate low mobility patrons and give them a lot easier time navigating that space as well.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here. There's no one else in the queue, so appreciate you taking the time and answering all of our questions.
Thank you so much.
We're going to continue with the rest of the agenda. Moving on under reports, item number 7.1, public member report. There's 2 motions in your package, Council. One is in regards to 2 individuals who are able, for various reasons, able to serve the Youth Council, and then one motion is in regards to appointing a new member. So I'll look to business arising. Councillor O'Toole, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. I move that Council rescind the appointments of Caleb Thomas and Karajot Singh Rapka. I made a mess of that. To the Youth Advisory Council. And the second part of that, if you want me to do it in one motion or?
Do it all in one, please.
Okay. And appoint Tristan Paragus to the Youth Advisory Council for the term of 2025-2026.
Great. Thanks for that motion, Councillor O'Toole. Seeing no one in the queue with discussion or debate, I'll call the question on those motions. Please vote. And that carries unanimously. Moving on to committee business. First item on the agenda is the Financial Administrative Services Committee meeting held February 10th. And I'll look to Councillor Bressie for introduction of this one.
Great. Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I would move the council accept the minutes of the February 10th Financial Administrative Services Committee meeting as presented.
Thanks for that. That motion is in order. I'll call the question. Please vote. And that carries unanimously. A few items of business today here, Councillor Bressie.
Thank you. I would move the council approve the audit service plan as presented. Just to speak to this, every single year we're required by the Municipal Government Act to have our finances audited, but I suggest even if we weren't required, it's something we'd probably do anyways because it's just good governance practice. We are in a longer term contract to get it done, but every year we're having conversations with the auditor to make sure that their plan fits the needs of council. So we spent some time with the auditor at the meeting just hearing about her plan and what her team was going to be doing, and the committee was satisfied with it. So I'd encourage council to accept this audit service plan.
Great. Thanks for that. That motion is in order. Opportunity for discussion or debate. Seeing none, I'll call the question. And that carries unanimously. Councillor Bressie.
Great. Mayor Clayton, how would you like me to handle these borrowing bylaws? Because once I move first reading, it's not debatable. So once I make the motion, we can't discuss it. So would you like there to be a presentation or discussion before I make the motion, or do you want me to get it on the floor and get second reading to discuss?
Sure. I'll turn this one over to Chief Whiteway for introduction, and then we'll allow questions from the chief.
Sorry, I'm just going to refresh where I'm at here. Okay, so administration, based on committee last week, had added to the council package some more detail around the capital plan that was approved at budget for the Public Safety Communication Center. So just a bit of historic on this to update council and refresh everybody's memory. There was a portion that's 2025 capital, and there was a portion at 2026 capital. So 2025 budget was determined at budget deliberations last year, and then in 2026, the remaining budget was presented for the total of the 8.46 million. That total, we did have to revise funding sources for the debt, so that is the borrowing bylaw that's before you today, for the 7.6 million total. And happy to take any questions.
So an opportunity for questions of the Chief Financial Officer. Seeing none, now we'll go to Councillor Bressie for a motion.
Sure, and just process-wise, I'd point out to council that if first reading passes today, then it has to go to public advertisement, and it's still weeks before we actually approve this, but MGA requirements, we can't do all three readings of a borrowing bylaw in one meeting. So with that, I would move the council give first reading to bylaw C 1491, being the Public Safety Communication Center borrowing bylaw as presented.
Thanks for that, Councillor Bressie. As mentioned, no discussion or debate on first reading, and this will come back for the rest of the conversation. For now, I'll call the question on first reading. Please vote.
Bressie's in favor.
And that carries unanimously. Ms. Whiteway, if you wanted to introduce the next one, which is borrowing bylaw C-1492, that'd be great.
Certainly. Again, another project that was deliberated at budget deliberations in November and approved. So this borrowing bylaw will fund the Mission Stormwater capital project.
All right. Just one moment. Councillor O'Connor, if you leave now in the middle of the first reading, you won't be able to be part of the conversation for second and third reading when it comes back. Okay, so opportunity for questions of the CFO. Seeing none, Councillor Bressie.
Thank you. I'd move the council give first readings bylaw C 1492, being the Mission Heights Stormwater Infrastructure borrowing bylaw as presented.
Thanks for that. That motion is in order. Seeing no one in the queue, sorry, there is no discussion or debate, so I'll call the question. Please vote. And that carries unanimously. Any highlights from your meeting, Councillor Bressie?
Yeah, we dealt with with the substantive discussions already in the previous business, but one thing I do want to highlight from the Chief Service Area update was assessments have been mailed out, so people should have assessments in their mailbox. I would note that just because your assessment went up doesn't necessarily mean your taxes are going up by that amount. If everybody's assessments go up by a large percentage, then, well, that's the rates adjusted accordingly. But if people do have questions about their assessment, I'd really encourage them to call 311 or email info@cityof.gp.com. It's absolutely free to ask our staff questions and get some more information about why your assessment landed where it's at. And if you do want to appeal, that's certainly your right. And if you're successful in that appeal, you get your appeal application feedback. So I definitely would encourage people to get the information they need and go through the process they need to be comfortable with their assessments.
All right. So moving on to item 8.2, the Public and Protective Services Committee meeting also held on February 10th. I will turn this one over to Councillor O'Toole for introduction.
Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. I move the council adopt the minutes of the Public and Protective Services Committee meeting held February 10th as presented.
Thanks for that, Councillor O'Toole. That motion is in order. Seeing no one in the queue, I'll call the question. And that carries unanimously. Councillor O'Toole, you had one item of business today.
Yes, there is a full report in our agenda, and it's the local immigration partnership update for information. And with that, I will make a motion to all of you. Council received the Grande Prairie local immigration partnership update for information.
All right, that motion is in order. Opportunity for discussion or debate on this motion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. And that carries unanimously. Councillor O'Toole, any highlights from your meeting?
Yes, we just basically talked about the biometric scanning launched locally, the IRCC agreement renewed, terms of reference updated, passport to Grande Prairie launched, welcoming week, it was delivered, and pathways to education hosted. And those are just some of the items that we discussed and accomplished over the last year.
Great, thanks for that, Councillor O'Toole. Moving to item 8.3, the Investment and Strategy Committee meeting held February 10th. I'll turn this one over to Councillor O'Connor for introduction.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Clayton. I'd like to move council adopt the minutes of the Investment and Strategy Committee meeting held February 10th as presented.
Thanks for that. That motion is in order. Seeing no one in the queue, I'll call the question. Please vote. That motion carried. Moving to the next item of business, Councillor O'Connor, if you wanted to go ahead with item 8.3.1.
Okay. This is the bylaw review.
Boards and committees bylaw amendments.
Okay. Do we has somebody going to present, or can I bring up my amendment?
You can do an introduction if you'd like. Maybe I'll turn it over to the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. This is a number of housekeeping amendments. The most substantive, though, addition would be a change to the Housing Committee, and there was a substantive debate at the previous committee, and bringing it forward here.
Okay. And
Councillor O'Connor, I would suggest you go through first reading. motion, and then if you have any other concerns, we can bring them up at second reading.
Okay, I'd like council to give first reading to bylaw C1422D, be an amendment to the boards and committees bylaw.
So that motion is in order. There's no discussion or debate on first reading. So I'll call the question. Please vote. And that carries unanimously. Councillor O'Connor.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Clayton. I'd like to move to council give second reading to bylaw C1422D, and I'd like to ask for an amendment as I voted incorrectly at the meeting. So I'm just wondering how you would like to handle that.
So if you're looking for an amendment to the bylaw, I would suggest that you make an amendment motion now, and we'll discuss and debate on your amendment.
Okay, I'd like to move that the motion to remove two councillors from representation on the committee be revisited.
So it's not the motion you're amending, you're looking to amend the bylaw to add two councillors. Okay, so we'll give our clerk a moment to get that registered. So opportunity for discussion or debate on adding two councillors. Keeping in mind, if you recall from the committee meeting, there was two public members already added to this amendment, so it's been amended, to this motion. The bylaw has been amended once to add two new public members. The discussion was to remove councillors from this. Councillor O'Connor is making an amendment to that, as he would like to see two councillors reinstated or added to this group through this amendment motion. Recognizing Councillor Plott.
Thanks, Mayor Clayton. I don't mind the idea of a councillor member being there. I'm just not sure about two. So I couldn't support it at two. I think we'd have to look at the composition change over the whole board if you're going to add two. I also worry when you start, if we add two and we don't change the other composition, we just start putting a lot more bodies around the table.
Yeah, and
so I guess for me, if you were looking at one, I could probably support that, but we'd have to have an amendment to try to get back to an uneven number on it. But for two, I think I would like the community to be more involved, and I like the cross section of how we were trying to reset this up. So I don't know if I think that we'd need two council members on that per se.
Okay, so a couple things. First, I just wanted to clarify your motion. Right now, in the way the motion is worded, they're voting members. Was that your intent?
yes, I'd like to change my motion to make it one councillor at least.
Okay, so one councillor as a voting member?
As a voting member.
Okay, so for clarification, Councillor O'Connor took a friendly amendment to add one councillor as a voting member to the Housing and Homelessness Advisory Board. So we'll discuss and debate that amendment, recognizing Councillor Bressie.
Great, thank you. More just a point of order. I'm not sure if Councillor O'Connor can make a motion to amend his own motion. So I think somebody else would have to make that motion on his behalf.
We still need it.
We haven't done second reading.
As if he
Okay. Okay.
That's all you had?
Yep.
Councillor Thiessen.
Sorry, I was busy cheering on our legislative services there for a second. Anyways, I'm totally game for this amendment. I actually like the two. I was going to propose a friendly amendment to have one voting and one non-voting member, just so we always have at least two people there. So if the voting member can't show up, we at least have backup for that person. And then at the board meeting, they can determine whether or not they would allow a bit of process in there, and for that non-voting member to then vote if they needed a vote on anything. But I'm very game. I did look at sort of the review of what the CAB members had said, and they didn't want council voting on there. A lot of times what I found was that council was a resource, and we were filling in the gaps maybe where administration didn't inform the committee, but usually that was around things that were fresh happening at the council table and stuff like that. But I do think there's value in us having a say, the members elected from the public to advise council. So one voting member, I think I'm okay with. I'd be even more okay with two, but I'll go with this for now, and we can revisit this later. Thanks.
Councillor O'Toole.
Yeah, I'm not going to support this. I think that administration does a good job representing us on that board, and I don't think we need to engage a counselor.
Thanks for your comments. I too won't support this motion. I believe that the subject matter experts and on this committee truly represent many different organizations and groups within our community. Adding 2 more community members really gives us a broad representation, and I think that the community is fully engaged in wanting to be active in this file, and so I think that that's a right number and right representation for this committee, so I can't support adding elected officials to it. I'll go to Councillor O'Connor to close.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Clayton. The reason I've spent the last year on this committee, and as a non-voting member, I felt that I wasn't heard, especially when we had 5 to 6 meetings that did not meet quorum because people weren't showing up. So I think our role as city councilors should be at that table to give our input. And I think it's important that we have our say and we have a quorum and move the business forward. As far as not having counselors on there, it doesn't give us a place. And I really think I fought very hard and I found it very frustrating trying to bring up issues forward. And Councillor Auger, who sat on that committee, expressed the same sort of concerns that we needed to at least have a voice. So I hope you would support me at least being at this committee to have a say. So thank you.
So that's Councillor O'Connor's close. I'll call the question. Councillor Flack. Okay, that's all right. And that's carried 6-2. Moving to second reading, Councillor O'Connor. Oh, my apologies. Councillor Pallotta have first.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. Appreciating that we just made that motion, and with that, we'll have an uneven number or an even number now on this committee. So I'm a little bit worried about the composition of that, I guess, moving forward. So just a question for administration on that is, are we comfortable with having an organization with 10 bodies versus an uneven number, or do we need to be looking at an allocation on that?
Well, in reality, this group is an advisory committee. They work with administration and have conversations around funding opportunities. They're not truly making significant decisions. Okay. They are an advisory committee, so I don't think it's as much of a concern. Okay,
and just my other question for administration, Mayor Clayton, is I appreciate we've kind of, we've really tried to go after, and it's one of the things I'm excited about the changes. We've tried to make a cross-section of individuals on this to make a more holistic committee. What happens if we don't get the bodies? What if we don't get 2 members from the housing sector, or we don't get somebody with lived experience or housing and security homeless? Like, what happens in that scenario? What would be the default mechanism for administration to still fill the board out?
Mr. Burke?
Appreciate that the amendments gave some flexibility on those too. So there's a little bit for us to work with there. I'd say if we can't fill them based on the established criteria, we'd bring that information back to council and repost. But without for those that have specific criteria, we would bring that attention to council if we cannot fill them.
And specifically speaking of the housing sector, I appreciate that we're trying to get some folks on there, but you know, Build, unfortunately, in Grande Prairie doesn't have the same membership it once had. I'm just worried about us. I'd love to see us have 2 builder representatives on the housing sector on there. So if that didn't happen, we didn't get 2 members, administration would come back and say we have this member that could fit, and these ones we just think would be the right fit under that criteria.
Thanks, Mayor Clayton. That's correct. That these are the terms set by council. You can always amend the terms that are established by council, and we'd have to consider that at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. And I just was getting some information from the clerk. There will be a new recruitment for this entire committee because it's a new restructure of the committee. So it will go to the public for applications, etc., as we normally do in October during our organization. Well, we usually do in the fall to bring it to our organizational meeting. We'll do a new initiative to appoint members to this committee. Councillor O'Connor.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm glad that's going to be a new recruitment because one of the things Councillor Auger and I experienced is that some of the people's names were there, but they never came to a meeting, and that's why we didn't meet quorum. So I think it's important that we get those people involved and they want to be there and have the right people at the table. So
that's why we rejigged this.
Yeah.
All right, Councillor O'Connor, if you could go to the second reading motion, please.
Yes, I'd like to move council have third reading.
Oh, if you could go to number 5 in your scribe.
Oh, didn't see. Okay. I move that council give second reading to Bylaw C 1422D as amended.
Perfect. Thanks for that. That motion is in order. Opportunity for discussion or debate. Seeing no one in the queue, I'll call the question. And that is carried 7-1. Councillor O'Connor.
Yes, I'd like to move council have third reading of Bylaw C 1422D as amended at this meeting.
Thanks for that, Councillor O'Connor. In order for us to have third reading here today, this must pass unanimously. Seeing no one in the queue, I'll call the question. Please vote. And that carries unanimously. Councillor O'Connor.
Yes. And finally, council give third reading to Bylaw C 1422D, being an amendment to the boards and committees bylaw as amended.
That motion is in order. Seeing no one in the queue, I'll call the question. Please vote. And that carries 7-1. Councillor O'Connor, any highlights from your meeting?
Sorry, Mayor Clayton, just give me a second. So one of the main things coming up is bi-weekly meetings have started in preparation for hosting the National Wrestling Championships for the city. Will welcome 500 athletes, coaches in the village for under 15, under 17, and under 19 competition from April 23rd to 26th at Design Works. And I really appreciate everything else is in the report online. Thank you.
Thanks for Councillor O'Connor. Moving to item 8.4, the Operational Services Committee meeting held February 10th, 2026. And I'll turn that over to Councillor Thiessen for introduction.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. I would move that council approve the minutes of the February 10th Operational Services Committee meeting.
Thanks for that motion. That motion is in order. I'll call the question. And that carries unanimously. Councillor Thiessen, any highlights from your meeting?
Oh yeah, a couple highlights. Operational services. So I think over the last 24 hours we've seen what they can do. Prior to the last 48 hours, our operational services crews were working on filling potholes, de-icing, and hauling out all the cul-de-sac piles. I say all, but we only managed to get about a third of the. Over half. Oh, wow. My report earlier today was just a third. So good job, team. That's great. And they are continuing to clear the streets from all the massive snow that we got. And hopefully we'll get a little bit of a break so all the streets can get clean. Just for people to know, this Thursday we will be starting their residential rotation for snow removal clearing on Route A. So I think I'm on Route A, but my snow removal is on Wednesday. Chief Glavin, we somehow got our signals crossed here. No, I'm joking. But if you're in Group A, you will get your snow removed. Also, if you took part in the Family Day festivities,
Sorry, just to clarify, it's not all of Group A. Certain neighborhoods.
Yeah, not my neighborhood.
The ones that have their garbage removed on Friday, Group A will have their snow removed.
Oh, so Thursday's out of luck too? Oh, good.
Right.
Well, that's great. So at least I'm not alone, and my neighbors will be happy with me, or we'll all be unhappy together. But our crews will do a great job and clear all that snow. I know they will. And in case you're interested in perhaps joining one of our crews, we are currently looking to hire some seasonal employees. That's for spring, summer, fall. You know, we get all those kids that come in, and sometimes people from the general public. So if you like to run a lawnmower, or you like to work just on the off season because you're busy doing school at any other time, those positions are available. And finally, if you took in the Family Day weekend, you would see that our facilities team got that lazy river liner repaired, completed, and tested. So it was good and safe for all the kids and families to go and use the lazy river and water slides here this past Family Day weekend. So I hope if you didn't get a chance to enjoy the free swim, that you will take in every opportunity to enjoy the Eastling Center with all of its amenities currently available and ready to roll in the Aquatic Center. And that's my report, Mayor Clayton. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that, Councillor Thiessen. Appreciate that. Moving to item 8.5, Council Committee of the Whole meeting held February 11th, and I'll look to Councillor Bressie for business arising.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I would move the council adopt the minutes of the Council Committee of the Whole meeting held February 11th as presented.
Is that motion? That motion is in order. Councillor Palat.
Thanks, Mayor Clayton. I when this was at committee, I was...
Sorry, we haven't gone to the item yet. This is just on the minutes.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. Seeing no one else in the queue, I'll call the question. I was like, wow, you're going to debate the minutes. That's a first.
I was ready for it.
All right. So that motion carries unanimously. Now, Councillor Bressie, if you could make a motion for the next item.
My apologies, Mayor Clayton, but I'm not sure where I'll go with this motion, so I'd rather somebody else make it if they support it.
I could have somebody make the motion of item 8.5.1. Then we'll have a motion on the table. We can have discussion and debate and questions for administration. Recognizing Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. I will read the motions, keep them all together in one. Approve the implementation of a one-year vandalism recovery and prevention grant pilot program. And allocate a budget of $80,000 from Council's strategic initiatives.
Right. So thanks for that motions. So the first one being identifying option 2 from the report as the one-year vandalism recovery and prevention grant pilot program. So it's a one-year pilot program, and it's option 2 from the report. Second part of the motion being to allocate a budget of $80,000, and the funding source being Council's strategic initiatives. So those motions are in order. Opportunity for question for administration or discussion and debate, recognizing Councillor Palat. And sorry, just before you go, if anybody would like to split the motion, simple, let me know, and it's a simple move.
Thanks, Mayor Clayton. I just need clarification. When this was at committee, I was happy with the opportunity, but I didn't want it to just include BAA. When I read the report, it says option 2 under criteria refers to option 1, which says it has to be in the BIA. So
that was very clearly an amendment at the meeting. Recognizing Ms. Bieberdorf.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. Yes, the intention would be citywide, not just downtown.
Okay, so I'm just wondering when I read what's in the, do we need to amend what's in our package? Because in our package it says criteria.
The motion could be as amended because option 2 as amended, and then that would cover. So who made the, Councillor O'Toole, are you okay with a friendly amendment for your first part of your motion to say approve implementation of one-year vandalism recovery and prevention grant pilot program, option 2 as amended?
Yes, I will go with that.
So therefore, it wouldn't be strictly to downtown.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Rick.
Can I just offer as amended at committee? And then that'll be a good reference point for everyone to have follow that discussion.
Okay, thank you. And sorry, did you have other comments, Councillor Palat? All right, so Councillor Bressie, you indicated that you might have some discussion or debate. Before I call the question, going once.
No, I think that resolved my concerns, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so just so you're clear, 2 parts of the motion haven't been split, so you're voting to fund option 2 as amended at committee, and that the budget of $80,000 for this one-year pilot program would be funded through Council's strategic initiatives. Seeing no one else in the queue, I'll call the question.
Bressie in favor.
and that carries unanimously. Moving on to today's agenda, we had one item of correspondence. It's in your package for information. It's always great to celebrate when we continue to do exceptional work. So as you see from Minister Nixon, the Minister of Assisted Living and Social Services, and the Minister responsible for housing, that we were sent a letter to recognize and congratulate the city for its commitment to being an age-friendly community. This recognition will be recognized later with an award, and I'll just turn it to the city manager if there's anything to add.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I would just add this award reflects work that the council supported over the last year in support of the Aging Well Together strategy, and the work that all of administration supported by council have taken. So there'll be further details to come, but this is a direct acknowledgement of the work that council supported over the last year.
Great. Okay, so that was just for your information. We don't need a motion for that. So I'm going to move on to delegation business. So just a reminder, council, maybe if you want an exact date, you could ask administration when the sponsorship conversation is coming to council, as this would be part of it. If you're looking for additional work to come out of the conversation today, you could direct administration to bring back information in regards to the request for to a future meeting. You could simply receive this for information, knowing that the funding request will come to a future date. Mr. Burke, you had something to add?
Just to that, administration are planning to bring back a report. Well, we have numerous requests for funding from the city. Those requests will come back in less than 2 weeks at the regularly scheduled March 2nd meeting. And so our intention would be, if there was desire to include this, to bring all those requests back for a discussion in a comprehensive way on March 2nd.
Right. Thanks for that. Councillor Plott.
Thanks, Mayor Clayton. I'm just wondering on the Bear Creek one specifically. Would administration know, or is that something we would get in the report? I guess there was a lot of numbers thrown around. I'm still confused of how many people are actually allowed to be on that hill. I'm just trying to get my understanding of what is the fire code capacity of how many people can physically be on site at any given time. I think Sarah answered it, but I was a little bit confused, and I don't want to assume it's 65 to 100 to 7,000 people. So I'm not sure what the capacity per day on the hill is. I'm just wondering when they bring the report back if that could be added.
Mr. Burke.
For me to get the most updated information, I could bring it back at that. If there were some other questions that council were interested in, to let me know, and we can ensure that information is available when this is discussed in less than 2 weeks.
Okay, so for my request, would that need to be a motion, or is that something administrator would just take away and come back with?
Mr. Burke?
I would, thanks, Mayor Clayton. I would say it depends how far we go here. If this is just a few information pieces, just to let us know here, and we can do that. If there's some comprehensive work that you would like us to do, then I would suggest a motion. If it's just some information, just to let me know here.
Mine's just more, and maybe it isn't as simple as I'm thinking. I just would like to know what the occupancy at any given time is for the site.
Yep. That will come back from administration. We'll just get administration's formal opinion on that. Councillor Bressie.
Yeah, no, definitely interest. If that's useful for council, by all means, but just would note that how many people the fire marshal says he can put on is very different than how many people can actually see the main stage, given the contours of that hill and other things. So just want to make sure we keep that in mind too.
Councillor Thiessen.
Ooh, I do get to answer this. Years ago, I was looking at Borstad Lookout as my landing spot for what eventually became Peace Starts at Home in the amphitheater area. I spoke with Fire Chief Dan Lemieux at the time, who was very familiar with the site, and he had several requests prior to that. He took no time in responding to me. We walked the site together, and he said, with infrastructure, staging, tents, other stuff, comfortably, you could probably sit 10,000 people inside that field area. But as Councillor Bressie said, how many people are going to have a good view of the stage with that, and how comfortably are they going to be sitting? He said that they would have that radius that's based off of a formula, which I'm sure administration will bring back to us. But it was 10,000 back in 2005.
And that was my point. It was 20 years ago, so we all know that expectations from public health and health and safety change often. So look forward to administration bringing back that information. Okay, so I'm looking for a motion then to receive this information or any additional. Councillor Palat.
Happy to move to receive the report for information.
All right. Seeing no one else in the queue, I'll call the question.
Pressing in favor.
And that carries unanimously. No notices of motion, and we won't be taking a recess today as there is no evening portion of our council meeting today. So we'll go right to council member reports, and I'll start with Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. Over the last 2 weeks, I attended the Chamber of Commerce workshop, Your Business and Values to Action, and I was joined by Councillor Palat as well. Not sure anybody else was there. I also attended 2 Combative Sport Commission meetings, and we will be having a fight in June. Attended Black History Month and opening ceremonies and proclamation, which was, I think, was very well attended. Invest GP Mixer, the Passionate Heart Celebration, and the Heart of Hope Gala. And on Monday, handed out cookies at the Eastlink Center for Family Day, and I was joined by Michael Connor and Chris Thiessen and those 2 guys over there, Wade Palat and Jenna Flack, and Dylan was there, but he was the foreman on the job. He gave orders, but he didn't really decorate too many cookies. Anyhow, that's my report.
Great, thanks for that. Councillor Thiessen.
Oh, Councillor O'Toole, I don't know if I go so far as calling Councillor Bressie the foreman, but I would say definitely safety supervisor is what he qualified for.
Nobody works.
Especially with Councillors O'Connor and Thiessen on the job. Anyways, nobody got too much icing on their fingers. For my last 2 weeks, I had a youth advisory council meeting with Councillor Flack. I'm sure she'll update on the goings about there. On February 11th, we had a meeting of the Mighty Peace Watershed Alliance, which is a fairly significant meeting, I thought. And not only did we cover the stuff that we're working on towards our State of the Watershed Plan and our Integrated Watershed Management Plan, but the afternoon we had a very thorough, robust conversation with Energy Alberta, who are the proponents to develop and build the nuclear power plant on the Peace River. So over 2 hours, we had already given them about 2.5 pages worth of questions that we needed answered. They were very good at answering those. But then we had more questions on the spot, such as, like, when you take 5.4 meters cubed of water per second and you're flowing that into the pipes, like, what is the volume of that? Luckily, we had somebody do the math who knew the math, and that's about equal to about 1.425 million liters of water per second, or total, I guess, that comes through in the end to fill those tailing ponds for the cooling of the reactors. And according to Energy Alberta, they're planning on losing most of that to evaporation. It's about 80%, but they're anticipating that they could lose 100% of that. So if you can imagine a 1.425 million liter steam cloud going up into the atmosphere, is something to really consider when we talk about this, because it could definitely change the climate in and around the Peace River area and other stuff too. We also talked about cumulative effects and other points of source, I guess, I don't want to say pollution, source stressors, we'll put it that way, because there are lots of other projects that are coming forward on the Peace River, most notably data centers, which, you know, just to top off my roundtable for my committee meeting, we are currently as a city working on our land use bylaw around data centers, which came in at a timely thing, considering that recently the mayor shared with council that the Leary Group is currently working on permitting for the Wonder Valley. So we'll see how that all turns out. Besides that, at the watershed meeting, we also had a request to elect a representative to the Alberta Water Council as as a member of the 11 WPACs across the province. To that extent, I, as the chair, was elected to sit on the Alberta Water Council currently as an alternate. But come September, October, that will likely shift, as long as I stay on the watershed, into a more full capacity board member role on Alberta Water Council. So I'm really honored that the board had that. I was trying to actually shuffle it off because I have lots on my plate here, but you know how it goes sometimes. The chair should actually step in and be able to have a voice for Mighty Peace Watershed and for the WPACs, and I carry some of that knowledge. I was just hopeful that somebody with a bit more of a technical background might fill it, but nevertheless, I am super excited to be a part of that and engaging in those conversations, which for me will start in about mid-April. Besides that, I also attended the Passionate Heart Awards, Black History Month, and Family Day celebrations. Had a glorious time with my council peeps and administration, and Family Day was a boppin'. The cookie area was a bit slower than what we're used to, but the swimming area was flowing like the waves in the wave pool. And it was a really, really great time to go down and be at the Eastling Centre with your friends and family. And that is my report. Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton.
Thanks, Councillor Thiessen. Councillor Auger.
Thank you, Mayor. So, starting on the 10th, of course, I was here at the standing committee meetings. On the 11th, I went to, considering I sit on the Regional Hospital Indigenous Advisory Committee, went to a foundation meeting, GPRH Foundation, and there we presented a design and the amount of money needed to complete an Indigenous cultural room at the hospital. So I've been focusing on that. Again, meetings here, Council of the Whole. I went to the Intercity Forum, the Invest GP, Black History Month, Passionate Hearts, and then I went to Tumbler Ridge the other day to take part in the vigil. And this morning I went to the Storm Board meeting. That's kind of been my week. I haven't been feeling well, so I missed a few of the things going on. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Auger. Councillor Flack.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. Yeah, I've been to quite a few events over the past 2 weeks. But one of my highlights, Thursday, February 5th, I attended the launch party for the Article magazine. It's a monthly printed magazine started by two Grande Prairie locals, Jesse and Melanie. Its aim is to be the go-to source for everything arts and culture in the Peace region. The event was very well attended, and I wish them both the best of luck in their new venture. I also attended the Passionate Heart Awards, Family Day on Sunday, handing out cookies with my colleagues here, and that is my report.
Great, thanks for that, Councillor Flack. Councillor Bressy.
Thought I was going to get to go last, and she was just saving the best. Now I'm curious to see who the best is.
Me. I go last.
Oh, of course, the mayor goes last. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I'm right. Anyways, thank you to my colleagues for being more generous than I needed to describe my input on the cookie decorating. But hey, I was happy to be in the proximity. And thank you to our staff, and thank you to Co-op and the other sponsors that make that possible. And Family Day, I hugged my boys a little bit tighter this Family Day after the tragedy in Tumbler Ridge. So I know that it's not just the Peace Country, but the entire nation's mourning with them. So really appreciated Family Day this year for some extra reasons and some sad reasons as well. Had a busy time with Alberta municipalities, had our executive committee meeting. I got to go down to the Lethbridge and visit Mayor Heigen down there, as well as some other mayors in the region, and also got to sit down with all the FCSS organizations in the community and hear what's going on there. So it was interesting hearing some of the stories down there and some ideas to bring home, and so I really enjoyed that. But the main Alberta Munis thing that was interesting to me was I went to Edmonton Council, had a night with their Chamber of Commerce there, and it was interesting hearing what Edmonton Council was getting asked and what some other parties were. But I want to talk right now in Edmonton about defense funding and the generational investments that our federal government's going to be making there. And I think that's a conversation maybe we need to be getting plugged in more than we are right now. I think that there's some real economic opportunity there that we're going to be blunt, our region's going to be paying a heck of a lot of tax dollars to fund defense spending. And I think there's a case to be made that we're a strategic area that some of that funding should come back to. And so I think that's a conversation that we should be joining our colleagues at Edmonton and maybe talking more about. Also, not related to my council duties, but I just have to brag about my local organizing committee for disc golf a little bit. We're hosting the Nationals. Thank you, Councillor O'Connor, for joining our committee as a volunteer. But we open up general registrations on Saturday, and we have Canada's top-rated males signed up to come, Canada's top-rated females signed up to come, and the biggest name in all of disc golf for commentary is signed up to come. And so we've got one of the best players ever to play, and maybe my favorite one to ever watch is going to be coming to compete for the national title. So really excited for that event, and I've had a lot of fun going on podcasts across the country talking about nationals and just really getting to talk up our community and talk about how great our community is and hospitality for all types of other events. So I've been having a lot of fun talking to people across the country about Grande Prairie.
Great. Councillor Plott.
Thanks, Mayor Clayton. A couple events that were mentioned already, the Family Day, attended the FAGPAS Winter Family Fun Day yesterday, Sunday. It was a great event. Lots of kids there, lots of families. It was awesome. I had a Grande Prairie Public Police Service stakeholder meeting, just talking about our engagement with the community and how that'll roll out. The Passion Heart Celebration, which is always a great way to recognize some amazing people in our community. Our Invest GP Mixer, well done with our staff last week, really well attended. And it was nice to see a lot of optimism in the room. It's been a while since that industry's had this much optimism, and that was very well felt. And most of the big highlight was last week I got to attend the tourism conference in Edmonton. Some interesting stats out of that. There was $14.4 billion spent in Alberta last year. $3.5 billion that was just international spending, and that was a 16% year-over-year increase. Interesting enough, Alberta's leading the way in tourism growth. We're up 12% in 2025. Canada's up 3%, and BC's only up 2.5%, so we're really leading the charge on that. International arrivals in Alberta were up 4%, and Canada overall was declined by 5%. So in a lot of these metrics, Alberta was leading the charge for tourism. So that was nice to hear that we're getting on that path, and that there's new legislation coming for all-season resorts. So that's my report. Thanks, Mayor Clayton.
Thanks, Councillor Plott. Councillor O'Connor.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. Everything else has been mentioned, but I did bring greetings on behalf of the City Council to SONA, which is the showcasing our national attire. And there was the Golden Heart Award was won by an 88-year-old, and her costume was awesome, and she didn't walk like 88. She was amazing. In my comment about Family Day, a lot of people, if they didn't hear me going, as Oscar the Grouch, it was Cookie Monster. Anyway, thank you very much. That's my report.
Okay, thanks for that. Councillor Pressy, before I do my report, I see you're in the queue. Okay. You're just reminding me? Yeah, that's all right. As I wasn't in person for the last council meeting, I just will recognize a couple things that were previously. So I had the opportunity to represent council on the onboarding event of the community boards and commissions. We're very thankful for our community members and the work that they do as volunteers, representing our residents on boards and commissions. And so it was an onboarding for new members, but also a chance for repeat members to sort of get to know with some of the people they're going to be working with. Also attended on behalf of Council the Northwest Polytech Industry Night, which was an opportunity for NWP to highlight some of the work that they have in their trades expansions and in the current work that they're doing within trade industry. Industry leaders were there to get updated. It was a very well-attended event, and I look forward to more of those conversations. I attended the Rotary Club of Grande Prairie 75th anniversary, as well as Malonka. And then with the Reeve of the County of Grande Prairie, we did a joint opening ceremony and proclamation for Black History Month, which is currently happening in February. There are other events happening throughout the month, so check them out on Facebook to see all the great things that they're having, that they're hosting this month. Attended with Councillor Berg and Councillor Plott has mentioned the Alberta Tourism Advocacy Session. It was a great opportunity to have conversations with our air carriers, or tourism providers of the region, as well as elected officials, to talk about opportunities in tourism advocacy. And I thought it was a great conversation. Also had a meeting with Wendy Bochesney, who is the head of Alberta Cancer Society, to talk about the work that they are currently doing in our region. Represented council, as mentioned, at the Invest GP Mixer for residential housing and development. Something, if you haven't seen, you could go on to, there's a daily update from the ATB Bank. They were highlighting Grande Prairie as they are coming to be part of Growing the North Conference, which starts this evening. And in that, they recognized that with an 80% increase in our housing starts, that we are outpacing Edmonton and Calgary in our residential growth. So great news in that report, and happy to share it if you haven't seen it. Also, last week, I had the opportunity to sit down and meet with Chief Sheldon Sunshine from Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation. We've been trying to get together since our election this past fall. We had met many times over the previous council term, but it was great to get updated on the work that they're doing, let him know about the work that we're doing in regards to our visions and where there is opportunity for collaboration. It was a very good meeting, and I was very thankful to the chief for taking the time to sit down with me. Attended the Passionate Heart Awards and just want to, again, the people that work in the family and children service sector, as well as social services, public safety, the work that they do to get recognized annually once a year is such a great honor to be able to bring congratulations to them. It's always a well-attended event and really a sector that quite often goes unnoticed. So thank you to them for the work that they continue to do. Last Saturday, I attended the Wolves men's and women's volleyball game. It was their last game of the season, a great attendance, and so I look forward to seeing this fall women's hockey being added to Grande Prairie in the Wolves athletic sort of combination of sports as well as the golf. So great full sort of offering of sports within Northwest Polytech. As mentioned by some of my colleagues, attended the Filipino Association Winter Family Fun Day. Great to see good turnout and lots of fun had by all families. And last but not least, if you don't recall, I was appointed to a Regional Health Advisory. Council 3 is our council, and so we had a Regional Health Advisory meeting. Right now, we're at the stage of finalizing the questions for our survey. Our survey is going to go public to the region. There's the mayor of Falher chairs it, and I'm the vice chair. There's representation from our whole zone in regards to engaging the public to look for areas of opportunity for improvement. So you will see that that survey go public here in the next probably 6 weeks. And with that, I want to wish you a good evening, and maybe we'll see some of you out at Growing the North. And I tell you, get that shovel out, because I know there's a lot of snow in your sidewalks, and there's a lot of work to be done. So we'll see you soon, and have a good evening. Thanks.